Oh, hello. How's it diddly doing? How's it going? Art Club Bruce, welcome in. Dabbling Warlock, welcome back. Good to see you. Jonathan, how are you? My vacation was great. I slept for about 2 days straight, and then it was back to work. How are you? What did we just do? Gamehole Con. I'm still in a little bit of a haze. A little bit. But basically, it's it yeah. How you doing, Jeremy? It's been a very good time. I've been kind of watching over the banister. This area that I'm in is like a little loft area, and then our living room is like downstairs. And I've been like peeking over because my boyfriend is playing a riveting video game. But I'm gonna stop doing that now. Tired? Dude, I bet. Didn't they just put you on a bunch more stuff? I don't know if it's I don't know how much of it. It's like so every time we go to a con, there is like an information dump of like new stuff. So, I'm right there with you, my man. So you could be bombing him with water balloons is what you're saying. How have I not thought of that yet? I shouldn't have yelled it. He's wearing headphones. I'll prank him on stream sometime. Fetch the blinders. Yeah, for real. I need like horse swears. Like a horse swears. Busy converting legendary adventure stuff for the hermit stretch reward. Dude. Converting things from legendary adventures to CNC, I presume. Or are we're not releasing stuff in legendary adventures. Shows what I know. I don't know what we're doing. I do. I just don't know right now, you know? Well, that's weird. You know what? I'm getting a phone call from my dad. We'll be right back. Okay, so sorry. We're all good. My dad does not often call me, so I just wanted to make sure that we were all good. It's totally everything's good. So, D20 D percentage skill based system, D percentile skill based system. For I did not even comprehend what you were saying. I'm so tired. D percentile skill based system to D20 based class system is a nightmare. I can only imagine. That sounds insane. D percentile? Well, okay, so I guess it was Gary's system. I'm sure it was very complicated and made a lot of sense when you're playing it. Which speaking of, I GM'd. I castle kept my very, very, very first game of Castles and Crusades last week for some incredible players, and it was so awesome. And I was scared. I was so scared. And then after doing it for the first time, all of the mechanics of the game, like, it's how it always goes. Like, reading about a game is not the same as like playing the game. And I was really feeling that difference because I didn't know a lot of like the practical stuff that you kind of just pick up by playing. I didn't know any of that. I've only played in like a handful of CNC games, and I had never castle kept, much less for strangers. But yeah, it turns out it's a game and it's fun and not stressful and not scary. So that was a lot of fun. It all sort of clicks. Exactly. And I never think that it's going to. It was actually, you know what? This has been a big week for trying new things. Me and Nick played a tabletop RPG called 10 Candles, which I definitely recommend, especially for like this week, because it's very, very spooky scary. And the main mechanic of the game is using D6s and 10 candles, just like tea light candles. And there are a maximum of like 10 scenes in the game. And if a candle goes out, then you move on to the next scene. And the whole game is kind of, the genre is like tragedy horror. Nobody lives, nobody survives a game of 10 candles. It's like an apocalyptic kind of story, and they have a lot of like little, I guess you could call them like module like adventures in the back of their player's handbook to use, that are really only just like a paragraph. It is a no prep game and so tense, and I can't advocate for it enough. It was so much fun. Not as fun as Castles and Crusades, but it was pretty great. And it's especially good for spooky season. 10 candles. What's next? 11 candles? Zoinks. The study of castle keeping is castle keepology. The care and keeping of your castle. Oh, can we publish a game called The Care and Keeping of Your Castle? I'd buy it. I played in a 5e game this past Saturday for the first time in probably 5 years. That rocks. I was invited by a friend to join his in-person Curse of Strahd one-shot, which he ran masterfully. Still, the final fight took about 3 hours, and all I could think is, my God, how do people have much patience for this? Suffice to say, CNC has spoiled me. That's the biggest change that I felt moving from 5e to CNC. Combat. It goes so much quicker. When I was doing our long campaign of 5e, I would plan for one combat per session. That was all that would fit if we wanted to like do other stuff. And we had 3-hour sessions. Like, they were pretty long games. So it was an adjustment at first, but I think in hindsight, I really prefer it. It's just a little bit more like fast paced, and I don't feel like I'm waiting, 20 minutes to like take a turn. It's just easy. The process is keeping castle. 10 Candles sounds kind of like some of the very short stories I've been writing. Ooh. Perhaps they are. The general fucking concept is that 10 days ago, prior to the start of the game, the sky went dark. There are no stars in the sky anymore. There's no moon. There's no sunlight. The entire world, it was like someone threw a blanket over the earth. People, like, the power grids, like, blacked out from the overuse of, like, trying to keep the light on. And the world kind of lost light sort of permanently, aside from, like, generators and stuff. And then 5 days ago, 5 days prior to the game start time, they came, and they are never specified because they are different every single game due to the game's like mechanics. And they are these monsters that can be anything and everything, and there is only one thing that they hate more than the humans that live on Earth, and that is the light. And so people are moving from like working generator to working generator, trying desperately to like stay in the light, which is awesome because your main game mechanic is those 10 tea light candles, and one by one they go out until the end you die. It's awesome. Definitely try it. Group initiative speeds things up. Dude, this might be an unpopular opinion. This might be... Don't hate me. I don't like group initiative. I think it's faster to do it the other way. I think it's faster if we all roll it once. Or wait, no, sorry. I'm conflating things in my mind. I'm conflating group initiative with rolling a new initiative every round. I don't know why I conflated those things. Group initiative is cool. I don't like rolling for initiative every round. I just want to do it like once. Let's do it one time. We'll do it one time, keep that order, and then just go. You know what I mean? Try Pathfinder 1E combat, then we can talk. That is crunch. That is crunch. I don't know about Pathfinder for me. If you didn't hear Nick, he just said we're not going back to the dark times. For your first big game was Pathfinder, right?
No, I played 3.5. It was basically the same game.
First it was 3.5, then Pathfinder. So we're moving up. We're moving up in the world. When we min-max our D&D 5e characters, we roll over the DM's monsters too quickly. Yeah, I can't play with min-maxers anymore. I respect it, and I think it's fun, but I don't want to play a sustained like game because it's not interesting, you know? I'm coming out here with the hot takes tonight. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just feeling spicy. Dog, I played 4E. Those fights took multiple sessions. Ugh. I don't want to hear fight took multiple sessions. No. I'll never forget 12 newbie player characters, a very large group, versus 6 kobolds. 3 4-hour sessions were required to resolve the fight, and in the end, half of them ran away. You're kidding me. That's insane. That is insane. That's crazy. Am I stupid? 12 hours? Am I counting that right? 12 hours to kill 6 kobolds, and there's 12 of you. That's crazy. Fastest fights, no initiative. Roll attack and damage die at the same time, declaring both regardless of outcome. I know what you're describing, but I'm picturing it as like just speed run. Whoever rolls the dice fastest goes first. I couldn't play by candlelight. I have 45 years of type 1 diabetes ravaging my sight, so I need a lot of light to even read. That's fair. That's very, very fair. Or you just do the whole thing on like a big whiteboard with like a giant expo marker. But you do have to actually like set things on fire in this game too. That's the other reason why I really liked it. You have like index cards is the idea, and on like one index card each, you have one virtue about your character, you have one vice about your character, like a flaw, like a character flaw or a weakness. You have a moment, an opportunity for them to like gain hope during this story, and then you have their brink, and the brink is really cool. It's the darkest shit that you are capable of, and as like each of these index cards allow you to like do something if you burn them, so you can sacrifice your virtues, you can sacrifice your vices, literally setting the index cards on fire and putting them into a safe, fireproof bowl. And then only when everything else about you has burned away are you able to go to the edge of what you're truly capable of. And I think that's a really powerful like storytelling tool. Hey, history prof, how's it going? It was really good to see you too. Did you have a good con? I did not dodge con crud. I half wonder if I'm like still experiencing it. There's no way. I've just been sleepy. But yeah, the con crud hit pretty hard. But I think I got sick at the con, and it really hit me like the last day. And then from there, I've kind of been like bouncing up and down. But we're going to get there, and we're going to be fine. I went out and I touched grass today, so we're on the right track. Have you ever played Dungeon Crawl Classics? That is a fast, crazy game. I have never played Dungeon Crawl Classics. That's a tongue twister. One of these days, I want to go to a con and play games. I want to just go to a con and play games. That sounds really great. Ooh, Dungeon Crawl Classics has lots of personality, and I love all the little ingenious quirks of it. It doesn't lend itself well to long-term games or complex storytelling, though. Yeah, you know, I think that I'm really starting to appreciate like episodic stories over like really long, sustained campaigns. The long ones are cool. But after trying both and giving both a really fair shake, I ran a campaign for 2 years, and then we also had like an episodic sort of series of mini campaigns that went for like a similar length of time. It's really nice to like keep things fresh. Then do I have the game for you? How many times has this happened to you? Savage Worlds is another one that's got pretty fast combat. I keep hearing good things about Savage Worlds. Did we talk about Savage Worlds last time? We might have. I think it's in my search history. We talked about Savage Worlds at some point. Definitely gonna have to check that out too. It is easier to maintain an episodic campaign. Yeah, I think it's just healthier. It's kind of just like better in most ways. Like you're able to switch out GMs so no one is like getting burnt out. You're able to like bring new characters in and out, keep things fresh there. Like it's just a good way to keep everyone like up, you know? Hey, Longshot, welcome in. How are you? Swords and Chaos playing now at your local Cineplex. Can we play? Here's the thing. Can we play? Can we play, though? GURPS is also fast, but that's more because you're very squishy. That's fair. I've run many long-term 5e games, and it can be difficult. It's fun, and it's satisfying to watch, like, a really long story evolve and to, like, watch the characters change and, like, you know, and, like, have inner party conflicts and, like, get stronger. Like, that's really rewarding. So, yeah, long campaigns are really fun, but they are super difficult, it turns out. Fuck yeah. We gotta go we gotta go up north. Speaking of going places, it has been a pretty long time since we've been back to Aihrde. Ooh, I've been treated this past week with someone else running Swords and Chaos for me, and it was enormously rewarding to see someone else's interpretation of my work. That would be crazy, actually. That sounds really cool. Like, I kind of have, like, so the closest I've ever come to something like that was hearing someone else read my poetry out loud on a stream. It was the most surreal thing ever to see like the spin that somebody else puts on your own creative work. Was that your first time like being a player in a Swords and Chaos game? Because that's really cool. That sounds awesome. How far are you from up north, as in north of Clare? We're near Clare. We're pretty close. Just don't stalk me. Not that you would. Some people on the internet be crazy. But yeah. Clare is cool. There is a hotel in Clare that my family used to go to all the time called the Doherty, the Doherty. And I have like a lot of memories of driving through there and like having really late night dinners at this random hotel, and it was awesome. I've stayed there. How is it? Doherty, I think that's how it's spelled, maybe, or maybe it's just DOH. I don't know. Aha, DOHERTY hotel. The Doherty. Wait. There. Doherty. Hang on. I need to have the Codex of Aihrde actually in front of me, because if I don't, then I'm gonna just get super distracted and not read tonight. It was pretty nice, but I was a very tired person who had worked 14 hours when I stayed there. Then I suppose any kind of bed would be very nice. That sounds nice. It was always like cute in there. Like they have a lot of like vintage looking furniture and like cool art, and the wallpaper was really pretty, if I remember it correctly. They had great mints in the bathrooms. And they had these little not M&Ms, but like an off-brand, slightly bigger M&M that was like a mint flavor, but it was like a candy-coated chocolate that was like mint flavored. And one of my close friends like choked on one of those, and then none of us ever had them again. I forgot about the mint. They're so good. They have a really bad bug problem. Is that true? Is that actually true? I didn't know that. Here's the thing. No, that's a lie. You can't lie to me right now. I am like gently alive. I'm like gently aware of my surroundings. You know what I mean? I'm very easily messed with right now. Imagine believing the things I say out of the kindness of your heart. What are you, trusting or something? Imagine someone saying something to you and you believing them. Couldn't be me. Here's the thing. I'm clinically stupid, and I'm here to party. And I'm here to drink coffee and party hard. And I don't want to drink any more coffee because it makes my tummy hurt. So that leaves us with one course of action. And that, my friends, is to learn some Aihrde lore. It's a weird energy tonight. So last we left off, we were learning about the Can I get that on a bumper sticker? Like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, dude. Do we want a big bumper sticker or tiny font? Last we left off, we were learning the background of Malazor, who was at one point known. Oh my god, I'm gonna blank on his name. Trigal. He was once known as Trigal, and he was kind of a court mage. Woo! And he had this order of like apprentices, wizards who studied under him, called the White Order. However, it was revealed, uncovered by the king that he served, that Trigal was not being entirely honest with the research that he was doing, nor was he forking over all of the stuff that he uncovered on these research trips that the crown was paying for. And so Trigal himself was exiled, the White Order was disbanded, and Trigal did as all evil mages do, which is kind of just continue on and change your name and keep on studying and trying to accomplish your tasks. So he took on the name Malazor. He went to study dwarven ruins, I believe. He went to a dwarven city first, and I'm trying to find what city that was. In Norgrad Cam. He was then, after a period of researching, discovered and exiled again from Norgrad Cam this time, and then stumbled across some ancient dwarven ruins, and discovered in these ruins, I hope that I'm like recalling all of this correctly. I kind of have it in front of me, but I don't want to just read it. The runes of Ondluk, who was kind of the first great goblin lord. So through his research, he studied these runes, and the very first of the rune marks came to Aihrde, which the rune mark is a class in our adventurer's backpack. It's very versatile. In our Stormsfront campaign, which is up on the Trollor Games YouTube, our friend Emily plays a rune mark, and it's scary badass. So the rune marks are very cool, but it comes from these runes that were crafted by dwarves and goblins, but they're known as the Ondluk Eroan, the Ondluk's runes. And all this time, the runes were kind of like an accidental discovery. What Malazor really has his eyes on are the paths of Umbra, which are these realm-crossing gates that allow people to pass in and out of like the veil of the world, and into the void. And I think that catches us up. So we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going through this. Question, how silly are the goblins in Aihrde? Like kind of silly or full-on Pathfinder silly? They're a little silly. They have a queen who lays eggs, and she's just a mortal queen who does nothing but sit around and lay eggs. And I think that's a little bit silly. If I remember correctly, she's characterized as kind of like a slug lady who just like eggs just kind of pop out from her everywhere. So I think she's a little bit silly. They're made from twisted dwarves, I believe. Dwarves who were twisted by greed. So that's different. Honestly, that's goals. If I could do nothing but lay around in a cave and just kind of excrete eggs. Did you just say no? I like eggs. You like eggs.
I do like eggs.
We like eggs. Firing in all directions. Like, careful, honey. You're in the splash zone. Anyway, on that very cursed note, settle in. We're going to continue with this story. Thank you all for spending some time here and listening. Thank you for putting up with my weird, silly, tired energy today. I'm not sure why the energy is like this today. It just is. And you know what? Sometimes that be how it be. So I don't have a beverage, but get yourself a cozy beverage. Get cozy. Settle into whatever task you'd like to do. And we're gonna hear a story. Malazor cared not for the rune marks, or use of the runes, nor the power of wizards and men, but rather continued his quest for the paths of Umbra. In time, he succeeded. Long after many of his old enemies were dead and turned to dust, Malazor unraveled the mystery and found the paths of Umbra. With the discovery in 6760 OY of the paths of Umbra, Malazor gained a power none had possessed for countless years. He reconstituted the White Order and gathered about him a host of sorcerers and wizards. From the paths, Malazor learned the makings of the world, of how the Allfather had created the Val Ericune, the Arc of Time, and the Endless Pools. He learned, too, that many of the Allfather's creations lived as powerful entities, bound to the void for eternity. Malazor learned of one, a dark stain upon the early creation of the world that even the goblins feared, and of which the Red God would not speak. It seemed to be an unmastered power, without thought or creed or idea of all that transpired, and the sorcerer wondered at it, for it was a darkness like none he had seen before. Malazor knew, through his mastery of the paths, that though gates opened by the great goblin Ondluk existed, that would let one pass into the multiverse, none existed to the void, but for the Rim Otsul. And that track none but Anderoth the dwarf had found. Malazor knew the wall of worlds stood strong against the prying eyes of those creatures left in the great empty, but now he possessed the knowledge to breach the wall and free what lay hidden beyond. He used the paths to cross over into the void, and there cast himself in search of he knew not what. He unearthed all manner of knowledge. Some he mastered, some he discarded. He spent hours without count drifting the currents of the void, capturing echoes of creation. But in time, he spied the undeeps and a darkness so black it marred the void itself. When he saw it, he lusted for it and the power it must contain. He knew that the darkness looked back upon him, but whether mindless or otherwise, the wizard could not discern. The Magi was at the height of his power, and he thought to himself that he could master this darkness and bring it to Aihrde, and it would rival any of the gods of men, for he deemed it to be fragments of the Allfather's language, pure and unused. In this, he was not far from the truth. The darkness was without deed in all the annals of the world, and was thus pure and unspent. In this, Malazor was wrong. In ages undreamt of by men, a darkness escaped the jumbled dreams of the Allfather. The Val Ericune, fearing the darkness as unsought, drove it into the great empty, to the undeeps, where no creature nor thought of any creature ever dwelt. That the chroniclers account the first war of the gods, and the darkness existed beyond sight of all there was, for all the Rin of the world. It was a stain upon the memory of even Corthane and the Red God, the echo of which carried far into the makings of the world. Malazor thought the darkness was mindless, and that with it in hand, he could challenge even Corthane in the Fortress of Wind. And for his arrogance, the world would forever change. Malazor failed to understand that the creature he found was not a mindless creation of the Allfather's whim, but one of the greatest of the Val Ericune. He failed to understand the maxim of all that is or ever will be, that from nothing comes nothing. Only labor brings thought to life and action to deed. And he failed to understand that the All-Father's actions, even those he took no notice of, possessed purpose and design without exception. Thus, the darkness that rose from his dreaming rest in the days before days was a labor of his design, willed or not. A stain upon the green. If you know, you know. Malazor touched that labor with a thought of the world of Aihrde, and images of the world came to the darkness that alone brooded in the undeeps at the beginning of all that is. It was in ignorance that he set about to bring this terror to Aihrde. Malazor built a tower in a cleft upon the far western reaches of the Holmgrad Mountains. This country was wild, occupied by no men, only trolls and stone giants. The tower rose about him, built upon the natural cliffs. He named it Aihrde. There, Malazor set to fashioning a magical staff that bore the paths of Umbra upon it, and he called it the Winter Rune. Trouble. You have commentary? Come here. Hang on. You have a little listener. Oh my god, you stink. Little man rolled in something earlier and it's nasty and he smells. But we still love you. Anyway. Then, Malazor set to fashioning a magical staff that bore the paths of Umbra upon it, and he called it the Winter Rune. And with it, he opened many gates into the firmament and maelstrom. These gates he bound in a pillar of iron within Aihrde, and ordered them for his own use. "You're nasty, and you need Jesus." Look at him. He doesn't know. He doesn't know anything. Look at him. He doesn't know. A winter ruin. I guess he used a cheap contractor. How could you not love that adorable ball of fluff? Trouble wrote that. Trouble wrote that comment somehow. Does he know? He doesn't. He really look at him. You stink. You smell so bad. You smell so bad. I can't. Oh, it's on my hands. Worth it. Send tweets. Send tweets. Joke's on all of us. He is the least food motivated dog I think that's ever lived. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about treats. He just wants you to like give him a treat, and then he wants to just like look at it and relish in the fact that like you gave it to him. He just wants to like be loved. Anyway, the Winter Rune. These gates he bound in a pillar of iron within Aihrde and ordered them for his own use. Each of the portals he locked in the iron tower, bound within a mirror, and with these he could pass from one realm to another and even to places in Aihrde. And in after days, the most secret lay in the mirror behind the throne in Al-Liosh. At last, he stepped through the portals, through the wall and into the void, and with the Winter Rune traveled to the distant darkness. The stain upon the empty lingered there, cast as little more than a moment of the All-Father's reckoning, and it pretended to be amazed and enthralled at all the wizard said to him. But the darkness wove about Malazor, and it sought to bind the Magi. The sorcerer was no fool, and he saw then that the darkness bore more than a little mark of intelligence. Though Malazor did not fear the darkness, he marked it as more aware than he initially thought. And he decided that he must be more careful and bind the creature with greater dwellers. But the darkness bound him in the undeeps of the void. When Malazor returned to Aihrde, was he bound there or was he not? I might just be tired. When Malazor returned to Aihrde, he fashioned... Apparently he got out. Apparently he was not bound there forever. He fashioned 13 rods, each woven with runic sorcery. Spells, fell and powerful, laced the rods and set a trap for the darkness. In this way, Malazor hoped to safeguard himself. But he was deceived, for the mark of the creature's power was in him, and it poisoned all that he did. Through incantations and sorcerous somatics, Malazor began preparing the conjurations that lay the groundwork to the paths of Umbra, and in doing so, alerted other magi far more cautious than he. Patrice of the Wood lived a simple life in the Kellerwald forest, south of Aliosh, and knew of the White Order and much of its doings. Patrice was a powerful wizard and a goodly man. He kept to himself largely, seeking only a greater understanding of the world and its origins. As such, he unraveled the arc of time and had some foreknowledge of what the future held. Patrice studied Malazor and his confederates, and in this way learned of the paths of Umbra and the making of the Winter Rune. He set out to stop them, gathering a band of sorcerers from across the lands of Ethram and Aenok to combat the White Order. And they called themselves the Elarios, which is those who stand upon the wall in the Vulgate. Sundance Kid, good to see you again. Welcome in. These were the very days of the great adventures, where men rose from obscurity to rule kingdoms in both Ethram and Aenok. The greatest of these was Luther the Paladin, called the Gallant, of the minor house of Herne. His people dwelt north of the Vale of Jariel, and were counted as one of the oldest families of the Ethram, a lineage buried in time. He rose through a wash of blood and battle to become king of the Ethram, ruling lands that covered much of the old Ethwold. He slew the last of the Tarvish in single combat to seize the crown. He called his realm Keomar, harking back to the early days of his people and the brother of Aidgen that died so long ago. His became a powerful, if short-lived line, but the foundation for all that came after. Riding at his side were a group of companions who the gods fated to ride the crest of history beyond the winter dark. With Luther rode Daladon Half-Elven, son of the elf Lothian, Dagnir the dwarf, grandnephew of and future king of Norgorad Cam, Aristobulus the white mage, and others. Many of their boon companions died, victims of many adventures, lost now to the annals of time. Many more rose, and remained as powerful men throughout the lands of Ursal. The greatest of these, Robert Luther, Luther's son, became Keomar's greatest king. Jaren the monk, founder of the Order of the Scintillant Dawn, penned the very prophecy that foretold the Winter's Dark. Not the White Order, the Winter's Dark. 2 W words. And Aristobulus's apprentice, Rapscallion, who bore the mark of emperors, succumbed to the designs and greed of the White Order and brought the Winter Dark to Aihrde. Patrice looked to these. Forever did that wizard command the sight of the future. He saw in Luther a connection with the blade Durendale. In Daladon he saw more, for the Marcher Lord, as he was known to some, would in years come to lay with Wenifar, the fairy queen, and sire the demigod Utumno. And he saw Aristobulus, who would become the greatest wizard of any time, save for perhaps Malazor. Seeing these futures, Patrice brought them into his fold and council, and made them his allies in the war against the White Order. For years, the Ilarios struggled against the White Order, seeking to confound Malazor's plans. They met tragedy and sorrow, overcame obstacles to win unsung victories, suffered defeats and death. The war was not one of states and kings, but of men, singly and in pairs, of wizard duels, of personal battles deep in dungeons or upon the heights of lost towers. The struggle raged for years. The tales of these battles are legendary and defy the capacity of the chronicles. Luther battled dragons in dark caves spouting flame and death. Aristobulus matched Malazor with spells within spells in a grim contest of sorcery which lit the very heavens. Daladon hewed giants like wheat to claim the last sapling of Mordias's grove. It was an age where innocence died, and when the avenging sword, Durendale, returned. These were the days of action, days of struggle, an age of heroes. Patrice's council consisted of 12 wizards of like power. The most notable of those who come into the tales of these days were Chrysogrim, who in later years traveled the seas of time upon the blood runes, Helios, the singing fool, Ozana the black-hearted, Sagramor, who through the curses of Malazor and the horned god fathered the race of blood thieves, the vampires, and Aristobulus, called the White Mage, greatest of the Ilarios. These magi, their servants, and the kings of Kaomar waged a ceaseless battle with Malazor and the White Order. Trouble, stop it. The war came to a head in 706 OY, when Aristobulus's apprentice-turned-mage, Rapscallion, knowing the truth of the mark of emperors that he bore, turned on his master, betrayed his friends, and sought out the council of Malazor. Malazor led him in the destruction of all the pretenders to the throne of Aliosh, and sought to set himself above all others. The noble lords of Enoch, who kept a long memory of the god-emperors and the wars of liberation, rejected the mark, and sought to unseat the beggar prince, as they named him. So, war spread again across Enoch, and towns and cities took sides to fight bitter battles. After several years, the beggar prince came to Aliosh with his army, and cleansed it of any who opposed him. He took the palace, although he would not take the throne nor the crown that sat upon the high seat all those years, for he deemed that the time was not ripe. In this, Rapscallion spurned Malazor's advice. The wizard sought a quick end to the civil war of the Enochians. He saw then that in the west, the Ethram crowned Luther the Paladin, who now ruled over the mighty kingdom of Kaomar. The paladins of the Holy Order of the Flame gave him allegiance, as did elves and dwarves and other diverse peoples. The beggar prince would not heed the mage. Indeed, he spurned all of the White Order and scattered them on missions hither and yon, seeking to win by strength alone. He longed to contest arms with the Westerners for a hatred of his one-time master Aristobulus. The king in Kaomar and all his comrades had settled upon him. The beggar prince gathered his armies and commenced the conquest of his kingdom. War flamed across the lands of Enoch. It was the year of the behemoth, the month of the hedgehog, the day of the toad, the hour of the my brain is just telling me say egg. I'm not going to say egg. The hour of the fruit fly. The minute of the rat. The moment of the... You know that thing when you're trying to like continue a joke and then your brain deletes. I can't think of a single animal. You know that thing when you're trying to think of literally any item of a certain category and your brain is like, oh, we've never actually heard of any animals before. We don't have that data. That's been happening nonstop and it's crazy. Maybe it's just because it's been a while. You know what I mean? A brain fart, yeah. Yeah. But like a really long one. Anyway, war flamed across the lands of Enoch. In the chaos and terror of those days, none could predict the outcome. War again consumed the lands of Ursal, and the power of the sorcerer Rapscallion and the White Order seemed unstoppable. In 718 OY, Rapscallion, having conquered most of Enoch, at last felt the time ripe and took the throne in Aliosh. He placed the Cune Mundus Usquam upon his own brow, proclaiming himself God Emperor of Enoch and Lord of Ethram, though that land lay far beyond his reach. When Rapscallion took up the crown and placed it on his head, no affliction came upon him, and this he took as a sign that only the true heir might ascend the throne. Though many had attempted it before, none had survived the crown's curse, for of old it was bound to the line of the god emperors, and it too bore the mark of darkness upon it, as set by Narhite so many years ago. The emperor took the name Sebastian Olivier I. With these proclamations, Rapscallion, the beggar prince, Sebastian, brought upon himself the wrath of the Council of Patrice and the kings in the West, most notably King Luther in the high-towered halls of Gusilin. Of Du Gusilan of Keomar. War followed. I think I'll go ahead and pause it there because that's the end of the section, and we'll pick up the next section next time. Thank you all for having so much patience for me tonight. I really appreciate it. I don't know anything, and that's all there is to say about it, really. What's worse is when you were hanging on to a thought, reminding yourself of what it was, and then you finally get to say it and everything goes blank. Oh, I hate that. That's the worst. I know exactly what you mean. From all around came very faintly a low, sad hum as the unhoused bees mourned. I can't think of sad bees right now. Bees deserve to be happy. Happiness for all bees. There's no trouble at all. It's fun listening to you read. Thank you, Orlock. I really appreciate that. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy past week. And now we're here and we're going to hit the ground running. And we might be a little bit loopy, but we're going to do it. We've got some very exciting things coming up. It's going to be great. Actually, this week, this is not like strictly relevant, but I think it'll be fun. On Thursday, I have never done this before ever in my life, but I'm going to do the gamer thing of taking a day off of work to play a video game on its release date. Dragon Age Veilguard is coming out. And I'm losing my mind. So excited about it. And so on Thursday, probably all day, I'm going to be streaming Veilguard on my own personal channel. So come hang out if you want to. No pressure. But yeah, I've never in my life taken a day off of work to like play a video game, but I'm very excited to do it. It's going to be such a cozy day. I'll be working. Sounds like don't. Have you ever considered don't do that? What if you just not? I'm very excited. And then we'll be back at it again on Friday, obviously, but I need to hoard my days off for when I inevitably have something stupid happen. I know what you mean. It's nice to have them when you need them. Better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them, I guess. Hope you have fun playing Veilguard. Thank you. I'm so excited. I've been listening through the entire history of the Dragon Age canon in preparation. And there's a lot. There's a lot of history. It is extensive. Maybe that's why my brain is so slow today. Because I've just been packing it full of like Thetis lore and Aihrde lore, and there isn't like room for anything else. You know what I mean? I'm sure it will be very quippy. Well, Varric Tethras is going to be a companion, so I can only imagine that it'll be quippy. Actually, he's not going to be a companion. I don't know what role he's going to play in the story. Oh God, what if he dies? What if he dies? I'm so attached to these people that don't exist. He works with his mind, must rest with his hands, and all that. Yeah. Wait, is this how you honor the 6th house and the tribe unmourned? What's that from? That's not from Dragon Age. Is it? I don't know. I can't overstate how much I don't know anything right now. No? Okay, thank God, because that would have been ridiculous how I just talked a big game about like listening to the entire history of Thetis and then not immediately not getting a reference. But would be the type of thing that I would do and would happen. Dagoth Ur welcomes you, Nerevar, my old friend, but to this place where destiny is made. What is that from? I'm Googling it. Dagoth Ur. Elder Scroll, it's Morrowind. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go to sleep. I need to have a rest. We're gonna raid into the Evantris folks. Be so nice to them. If you have a moment to spare, say a nice thing about their stream. They're great people. It's gonna be a good time. Monofis, thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. It was great to have you. We'll be right back here next week. I will be more alive, and it'll be great. So thank you all again. This was awesome. I really appreciate your time and hanging out with me on a Monday night. You could have been anywhere, and it meant a lot to me that you chose to spend your time here with me. It was super fun, and I'm excited for the next one. Welcome, Nerevar. Together we shall speak for the law and the land, and shall drive the mongrel dogs of the Empire from Morrowind. Do I need to play Morrowind? Does that sound kind of cool? Maybe I need to play Morrowind. Anyway, go in peace, make the words, do good. I will see you guys again next week. Thank you all so much again.